welcome back to another episode of From Under the Bodhi Tree. My name is Tasha, and this episode is super important to me. It's something that I had to learn on my own, and it's a really, really hard fact to come into consciousness with, and that is that people-pleasing is manipulation that somebody else taught you. People-pleasing is often a result of our childhood, and it's this notion that as children we need to learn to solidify and accept our parents' or caretakers' behavior. And we do this because our parents weren't able to be fully present with us, and we needed to condense ourselves, to calm down, to be quiet, to diminish ourselves in order to be a good kid and to provide what they needed. And we learned that through this, our needs are not what's most important. And the number one importance in our life is just to survive. So we carry this notion that we should be like this into our childhood and into our other relationships as we get older, because that's what we were taught and perceived that love is and respect also is. So in order to make other people's happy, in order to make others happy, we become this less abrasive version of ourselves, and we become more controlled over our actions and what we do and say to other people. And when we're taught this sometimes can actually become weapons that other people can use against us to wield. And what I mean by that is some people will actually look for people who are people pleasers. And they look for it because they know that you're easy to manipulate and you're easy to control. And they want to control somebody else because they never got to exercise control in their own lives. So they feel good doing that to us or putting us in that situation because they feel like they can control us in a way, if that makes sense. And whether they're doing it consciously or subconsciously, those people are drawn to people pleasers because they rarely hear no. Because we were taught to never say that. It's not even in our vocabulary. I mean, the only person we say that to is ourselves, right? So this really spirals us later on in life into getting into unknown toxic relationships where we have one person that's constantly giving and then the other person is constantly doing everything for that submitter. And the other person is who really truly gets to be in ownership of that relationship. And sometimes we make friends with people because they also are like this, and there's this validation of reciprocity that's happening where somebody understands what it's kind of like, and you meet somebody who is able to mask and to not mask, and you sort of become friends because you understand the underlying trauma of it all. And another thing I'll add is that some people who seek out people pleasers will also believe that they're a giver as well. They assume that they're doing the correct things because they've also been taught incorrectly what the true meaning of love and respect in relationships are. So all in all, it creates a lot of dynamics that often reinforce the idea that you shouldn't be yourself, or that boundaries are bad, and that leaves you with this sense of helplessness over your life once you realize that that's what's happening. And it won't be until you become aware of the situation, what you're doing, how they're acting, and you acknowledge the need for your own self-love and respect, that you can actually take this power back. So if we look at the cycle of people pleasing and what it does to a person and how we can implement our own self-love, then we can truly be our truest, loudest, unapologetic self. And that is what I want you to do, because it took me a long time to get to this place. And I want to just caveat this by saying that sometimes compassion doesn't excuse other people's behavior, okay? You can still practice Buddhism like I do and still be aware that people are holes. And you can still love your parents and your friends, yet have the realization that the foundations that were laid in those relationships were not built off what was best for you and them. And it doesn't mean that one of you or both of you are bad people. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that we learned this incorrectly and it has spiraled down generationally to other people. And it just means that at some point there's a lot of codependency that was probably built in order to keep that companionship and that love in those relationships intertwined, because that's how you all learn to love each other. And we're all taught different versions of what love is, and sometimes we're taught that it's bending to other people's will or doing things for other people because it makes us feel better that we're doing things for other people, right? And to support someone sometimes meant to forget about your own desires, and it meant, only helping them achieve what they could achieve for themselves while you put yourself on the back burner. And again, whether it was conscious or self-conscious, it still yields this non-consensual relationship that you were unaware of the lack of self-love and respect. So oftentimes, without realizing it, we begin to make relationship decisions or dynamics out of control when it's supposed to feel like love in this way. And the model keeps them performing to you, or you performing to them, to show that you all need each other so that you can keep them or they can keep you. And no one really wants to do that. In a self-actual, non-toxic relationship, nobody wants that. You want equal participation, love, and respect. And I will say that once you stop people pleasing, you will be met by the right people who will not do this to you, because they have no need to control you. They do not get off on any sort of way of making you feel like a lesser person. And one fact that you need to be aware of is that children will always self-abandon in order to feel closer to their primary caretaker. This is something that I learned in therapy, and we do this because we have to survive. There is no, well, should I, shouldn't I? It's just like, nope, this is what I'm going to do. I need to survive. This is my parental figure. And friendships will also form in this way too, because sometimes you'll mask and you'll people please because of your human need to have an essential community. Even if it means masking to be a part of a collective, sometimes you will still do it out of just pure loneliness and out of the fact that you're afraid of being alone. And the way out of this mode is to truly find this intersection where you can show up for people but no longer have to hide or manipulate yourself when you show up for other people. And I will say that some friends will start to be upset with you when you start to do this. And that's because they're no longer getting what they want out of you from the relationship. And that's how you know that they're not truly your friends, if they don't stick around for that. And it's okay for them to leave. And it may mean that you have a more slower, more intentionally distant relationship from some people or from family members or whatever. But that feeling and awareness will change what's inside of you. And you will actually become the most powerful version of yourself. And it's the most powerful thing that you can do for yourself, is to live your life for yourself. To reclaim love and respect is higher than any relationship that you will ever have, especially with somebody who doesn't want you to be your best. And the way out is finding peace where you can still love people deeply without abandoning yourself to do that or to be around those people. And one way that we're going to explore how to get out of this understanding and what a healthy relationship looks like is we're going to talk about the way that you shouldn't have to perform in healthy relationships. I'm going to read this as a bullet point for you. Healthy love lets you disappoint people from time to time. Healthy love survives boundaries. Healthy love does not require performance. Healthy love doesn't disappear when you say no. And healthy love allows both people to exist fully in unconditional respect and love. A healthy relationship allows you to place boundaries down. It allows you to say no. It allows alone time or freedom of expression. It allows you to communicate your feelings because your opinions and your feelings matter. And it allows you to be imperfect yet still worthy. And because you've been taught that these things are inherently wrong, you probably will feel guilty when you start to implement non-people-pleasing things into your life, into your existence. And you're going to feel bad demanding those things and demanding boundaries. But respect is a foundational requirement. It is not a request. And if you can't do these things for you, chances are you've found yourself in one of those one-sided relationships, because that relationship is not healthy if you're not able to express that. Learning that you deserve more than that is a key thing that I can't teach you, but I want to reiterate this to you. Because wanting to expand and being your true self is not only a good thing, but it should be the bare minimum thing that you do for life. And you will always resent being or staying in relationships where you can't be anything that you want to be. And your significant other, whether it's a family or a friend, should want the same for you. And if they don't, it has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with them, because they don't have the capacity to love themselves truly, which means they can't love you truly. Do you understand how that works? It's nothing to do with you. And there's a difference between demanding respect and walking away. And that's where true love comes in. There is a difference between conditional love and respect. That is where self-respect comes in. There's a difference between setting boundaries and demanding the life that you deserve. And that difference is where you're going to find that courage for once in your life to do something you've never done, which is possibly care about yourself first. And I wrote this because I think this is super important, and I'm just going to leave you with this. You came into this world alone, and you will die alone. Regardless if surrounded by people or with a partner, your journey has always been intimately your own. And on Judgment Day, or whatever you feel on the last breath, you alone will speak for the knowledge that you accept and all the things that you have done with that. And you should recklessly love and sacrifice yourself to that idea, to what the divine wants from you. There is no one else that can be your savior but yourself. No one else can love or respect you in the way that you can. No one else can answer for anything that you have done but yourself. And no one else is going to come to make sure that your life is fair, that your life is balanced, and that you get everything that you deserved except for yourself. And that's why, for once, you should choose you.